Hey guys, it's me again, the Chief Ash, here to do another one of our 31 movies for 31 days in October. Another horror movie coming at you. Today I am talking about yet another of the series highlighted this month. Today I will be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 5: Dream Child. So, Dream Child is after the curve of where the series went really far downhill, of course. It is a perk. It's better than 6 and better than 4, but it is in the curve of the bad movies. It's not that great, but it has some redeeming qualities. It has some neat things. One of the big things I like about the Nightmare on Elm Street series is the fact that it brings in a magical world, but it doesn't in essentially a scientific-esque way. The whole using dreams instead of just straight up magic thing. So if you're in dreams, it's not necessarily magic. You're just using your mind power to do things that you can perceive. So it's neat. And in the fifth movie, though lacking a super strong plot, the way Freddy comes back, that's usually the reason why I like these movies is how Freddy finds his way back, and I can ride the whole movie off of that. And this one actually had a little bit extra. 4 was pretty much just like, oh, here's this, blah blah blah. I'll talk about that later. But in 5, it has an interesting way to bring him back, and it has some Freddy backstory. So that's actually kind of cool. Kind of delves into who his mother is. So, I mean, if you're looking for origins of Freddy Krueger, you can skip 4 and watch 5, and you're fine. But in this movie, they bring him back by having the main character, who is a girl named Alice. She wasn't in any of the movies, but it is pointed at the very beginning of the movie. It actually works continuity-wise, kind of. That she was one of the Elm Street kids and had to deal with Freddy growing up and blah 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 blah, and it was set aside so in her mind or whatever. She's trying to keep it contained in her somehow. And the way he comes back through her is because she's pregnant, and when baby is in the belly, apparently, or it was believed then, or it was a scientific fact. I don't know if it's still. Let me rephrase that theory. If it was, so whether or not it's still valid, but it was science back then. Science back then, because in some of the other movies, some of the dream theories, stuff like that, have been disproven. But that hence my point. Anyway, baby was believed to sleep, and may still do. I didn't fact check it. I probably should. Sleep for 23 hours in the belly, So Freddy lived essentially through the kid and was able to attack Mama and freak her out during the day. And then she's another dream hopper, like in some of the earlier movies. So she kind of runs off that quite a bit. But so that's kind of an interesting way to go about it. This one didn't get saved with dialogue or anything. This is still one of the heavily MTV based movies that they made, which ushered in the downfall of the series overall. But one of my favorite characters in the movie, he's a comic book artist, and he does all these little comic books, and he's like super afraid of Freddy, and he only ever he sees him twice, and the second time, because in 3 they fight back, they fight Freddy, they turn into like these little super powered dudes and then fight him, and then the 4th one they just don't. The one guy does martial arts and he fights him, and they just try to fight him as themselves, which kind of loses they hit something cool and then just drop it. So there's that. But in the 5th one, it's the same situation as the 4th. Really, they just kind of fight them as themselves, except for comic book guy, and it's kind of neat because comic book guy is kind of clever in that because no one else tries it, and he doesn't turn into like a badass version of himself like they do in number 3. He turns into his comic book character that he likes to draw, and that fight with him and Freddy in that aspect is really cool. A lot of the deaths in this are really clever and animated. It's not like Nightmare on Elm Street 6 where it kind of just it gets way beyond ridiculous. 6 is just straight up comedy, and 4 and 5 still have a really harsh horror aspect, and 5 you still get the one-liner Freddy jokes, but for the most part it's still like we're trying to be a scary movie, whereas 6 was just like no, fuck that, we're just gonna do whatever. So with 5, it has some redeemable qualities. A lot of the backstory I said that you get from, because in 6 you get some of young Freddy. In 5 it kind of goes into how his mother Amanda Krueger got pregnant, and how he came about, and the whole thing is that they have to like essentially appease his mother to defeat Freddy in this, his dead mother, and to defeat Freddy in this movie. So it's you know, so the movie has a huge maternal, you know, theme behind it, and it works to some extent, but at this point, you know, MTV. I keep saying MTV, but MTV ruined the series, and I love the series. They populated the last couple movies with just these random actors. There's no skill in acting here. Even my favorite character, he's just not well played. Robert Englund's really the only one that holds a candle to anything. So, but you know, it's not the worst in the series. I already done talked about that one, and then there's a remake. But it's not the worst in the series. It's definitely watchable. It's more so than 4. So you know, it's one of those things. I mean, but here's the thing: like when you have something really good in these movies, the movie works really hard to just go ahead and turn around and fuck itself up. Because some of the cool parts that I like, they end terribly because it goes. Okay, like for example, I said, dude turns into his little comic book guy, and then he fights Freddy. Like that's really cool. And then what happens is essentially he beats Freddy, like beats the shit out of him, and then Freddy just was like, okay, well I'm Super Freddy because that's how comic books work. And then he comes back, then he kills dude while also just automatically turning him into some different entity to make him easier to kill. And it's just like what a cop out. Like we don't want to finish this little thing here. We just okay, well me too. Automatically I'm stronger just because I felt like it, right? It's huge. It's little things like that. But like I said, that's kind of it's still kind of cool to watch. The fight was really cool to watch. So some of the other ones, like a guy gets melded into a motorcycle, and the one girl gets like. She's supposed to be like a model, and she gets like fed to death. I don't know. There's some neat stuff. Like it's worth the watch just for that. It's definitely one of those you can put on in the background and kind of enjoy it from the side. It's not one you got to be super close attention to because it was made for the teenagers of the late '80s, early '90s. So that is that. So this has been the Chief Asch on Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, and keep watching.